Here's a very interesting Neville Goddard quote. Did the prophet Elijah really restore to life the dead child of the widow? This story, along with all the other stories of the Bible, is a psychological drama which takes place in the consciousness of man. The widow symbolizes every man and woman in the world. The dead child represents the frustrated desires and ambitions of man, while the prophet Elijah symbolizes the God power within man, or man's awareness of being. The story tells us that the prophet took the dead child from the widow's bosom and carried him into an upper room. As he entered the upper room, he closed the door behind them, placing the child upon a bed. He breathed life into him. Returning to the mother, he gave her the child and said, "Woman, thy son liveth." Neville Goddard, your faith is your fortune. So if you take that story literally, you miss the whole thing. And that's the danger of taking biblical stories literally. The ancients wrote in code. They wrote in symbolic, allegorical, metaphorical ways. When you take it literally, you miss the whole point. You end up just believing certain fairy tales are real. And that's where people, they end up running in circles and just living in a fantasy land. It's not the way it is. The prophet Elijah was symbolic, right? The widow symbolizes every man, woman, and child in the world. So every man, woman, and child in the world has frustrated desires and ambitions, right? That's the dead child. They carry around the dead child of frustrated desires and ambitions. While Elijah symbolizes the God power within. So the God power within every man, woman, and child in the world, the awareness of being, will take those frustrated desires and ambitions and raise them from the dead, bring them to fruition, make them happen, manifest them in your 3D. That's what it all means. So that's a very important thing, right? Your God power within will take those desires and ambitions which were frustrated. You couldn't make them happen no matter what. You're trying this, you're trying that, you're trying to force it, and it's not happening, right? You're getting frustrated. Which makes you doubt, and when you doubt, other things contrary to what you want to happen, because then the frustration becomes the focus. Your inner God power, when you turn it over to God, your inner God power, you don't worry about circumstances. You don't worry about the how it's going to happen. You just turn it over to God. Let God deal with it. Your God power knows how to make it happen. Can sort out all the details flawlessly in a way that your conscious waking self could never imagine. And this is what Neville tells us all the time, and put it to the test. Don't just merely take my word for it, take Neville's word for it, take anyone's word for it. Put it to the test. When I and others say you have to put in the work to do this stuff, we're not talking about making your stuff happen. You can't make your stuff happen. You can't force your stuff to happen. That's absurd. And it's working against the nature of things. By putting in the work, we mean putting your faith in God, getting your mental diet sorted out, getting your thoughts sorted out, be positive, be grateful, all this stuff we've been talking about. Turn it over to, keep the faith. Keep faith in your God self and turn it over to God. In addition to being grateful and everything, you turn it over. You learn when to plant that seed and drop it. If you don't drop that seed in the earth, it can't grow into anything if you keep holding on to it. So, and your frustrated desires, your desires and ambitions will remain frustrated and not happening. The God power, Elijah, can take those desires and ambitions into that upper room. Close the door behind them. Closing the door. You can't see what's going on. It's not your concern in how your God power makes that thing happen or brings that situation, into its full bloom. That's not your job. That's not your worry, right? It's none of your business. It's none of your conscious business. You put your faith in your God self, in God, to make that happen, and it will happen. You keep the faith, you be grateful, you have faith. That's what having faith really is about. This isn't about some prophet, some Bronze Age person who performed a miracle. This is symbolic stuff, and it means something. And this is what it means, and it makes perfect sense. And if you put it into practice, it's going to happen. No ifs, ands, or buts. And the only reason it's not going to happen is if you are loaded with doubt, you don't have a good mental diet, you give in to every, you never drop it, you don't have faith, you're constantly looking around, you're looking for signs, you're looking for proof, you're reading all this other garbage that's out there. You need everybody else to somehow give you some kind of a blueprint that's going to work, that's going to make it happen. That won't work. You have to stop. Stop reading all this stuff on social media or whatever the site is about how this person did it, how that person did it, and how that person and the other guy and the lady over there, how they all did it, doesn't pertain to you. It's individual. But the basic blueprint is have faith in God, plant the seed, drop the seed, be grateful for what you already have and for what you are desiring to bring it in. So that Ejijah, right? So that Ejijah can carry that child, that desire or ambition, into that upper room, close the door, and bring it back to life. Bring that desire back to life. Bring those ambitions back to life. And then return them to you. And that's it. It's really very simple. It doesn't require effort. It doesn't require stressing over things. It doesn't require any of that. We're like neurotic these days, right? Being neurotic and wishy-washy and constantly looking for proof and signs and everything else is not going to make things happen for you. It's going to have the opposite effect. So I'm trying to help you to short circuit the process. And that's what Neville did. Neville explained all this stuff. But a lot of people don't want to go and listen to the lectures. They don't want to read the stuff. Fine. If you want to watch stuff on YouTube, that's fine. Hopefully you find stuff like this and not some, other drivel about, tossing salt over your shoulder or something like that. Right? So I hope this helps. Hopes get you back on track so that those frustrated desires and ambitions can be brought back to life and presented back to you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. And look out for the next video. Thank you.